Welcome back. Another lovely episode of Ready to Die Fighting. Kris here. Enjoying some lovely green tea as I walk in the park here. Just doing a little practice hiking, a little exercise. Got my evacuation bag on. I don't like to call it a bug out bag because I don't know. You know, actually I don't even call this my evacuation bag. My evacuation bag is a different bag. This is more my car bag, or maybe a get home bag, or more than likely a shelter in place bag. I live in a pretty urban city, surrounded by a bunch of suburbs. When I think of bugging out, I think of taking off on foot into the woods to escape the populace or whatever disaster's going on. And that just doesn't seem realistic for me. Despite the fact that I'm not quite in shape to venture some sort of thing like that. But I'm in a pretty dense city, and like I said, it's surrounded by suburbs that are also pretty dense. So the amount of walking I'd have to do to get to those suburbs, to get to the woods, I'd be walking a long time. And I could probably do the walking, but it would take me a while. And I'm not sure what I'd have to go through to get there, to get to that point where I'd be safe in the woods, and I'm not sure that I'd be safe in the woods. So this is more of a shelter-in-place bag, or maybe a get-home bag. It weighs about 35 pounds, and I'm about 200 pounds. So I don't know what percentage of my weight that is. That's, let's see, 10% would be 20. So maybe it's like 15% of my weight. Thought I heard something over there. Now this is just a park. I'm not like in the woods, but there is wildlife out here. And it's kind of it's kind of pretty far out from my house. But I still like to be aware of my surroundings. And I like to be safe, regardless of what I'm doing. Because I am out here by myself. Well, I'm with you lovely people. And so I'm just taking a little walk out here, and we are, let's see, it's a balmy 32 degrees out here. That's about 0 for you blokes who prefer a more sensible unit of measure. And we've got a good amount of sun, clear skies. So it's actually a perfect day for this. My hands are getting a little chilly, but my fingertips always get cold. But otherwise, I'm feeling pretty good. And these aren't the best gloves for what I'm doing. And holding on to a metal selfie stick probably isn't helping. But it's alright. I'm not going to be out here for very long. I got some other things I got to do in about a half an hour. So that's about the longest I can be out here. But I like to do this every now and then, just for the health benefits. Being out in nature is good for the mind and the spirit. Being accustomed to walking through the woods, I think, is good for you in a prepper sense, in a survival sense. The more you're out here, the more comfortable you are. The more you observe, the more you get to practice your skills. Even if it is just being familiar with the different types of trees and plant life, and just walking on unpaved, hilly terrain. That's always good for you. But I really just wanted to get out and talk to you people. And I got a new selfie stick here. So I haven't had a whole lot of practice with that. So I wanted to try it out. And I wanted to carry my pack a little bit. The furthest I think I've walked with it is about maybe an hour. I'm not sure how many miles I was going, because I wasn't counting miles. And I've done that a couple times. More than a couple, actually. I've done that quite a few times. I'll walk for about an hour just because that's about all the time that I have for taking a walk and doing a workout, and I have other things to do. or either maybe it was the end of the trail. So today I've only got about a half an hour, and I haven't been walking for very long before I started recording. Well, we'll see how it goes. I don't anticipate any problems. Ooh, might be losing me that sun over there. We'll try it this way. Ugh. Ugh. So we are in Michigan in the winter, and I do like to identify trees when I walk. Now without leaves I find it considerably harder, but I do try to identify trees as best I can by their bark or any other clues I can get. Now just by looking at the ground here, I don't know how well you guys can see that. Looks like we got a lot of red oak in the area. You know, there's also some white. But it looks like we primarily have oak trees here because there's a bunch of oak leaves on the ground. So let's see if I can find some examples. Oh, here's a great example. Just a sec. Actually, you know what? That's not that great. Trying to find the difference between, there's a lot of different oaks, and I am no tree expert, but I've been learning quite a bit over time. But there's a lot of different oaks, but I usually just try to distinguish between a red oak and a white oak. And the oak leaves, well, they look like this. I don't know how well you can see that. They look like this. I think we've all seen, or at least most of us have seen, these oak leaves in that shape you get. But the difference between them is red oaks are typically more pointy. The leaves are more pointy. And white oaks, the lobes of the leaf are rounded. So one of my friends, the way he says that he remembers it, is the white ones look like ghosts. And ghosts are white, and the ghosts are, because they're rounded, they look more spooky. Whereas the red ones, red is like blood. They're pointy, so like you can stab somebody when they bleed. Now it's just a leaf; you're not actually going to bleed, in case you didn't know that. But it's a way to remember it. Now, realistically, red and white oak burn great. You find either one, and you want to make a fire, you are good to go. But I like distinguishing them anyway. Now these, I'm not 100% sure, but at first glance, these look like they may be a beech. Now beech, if I remember correctly, they will often keep their leaves, even if they're dead looking. And beech typically has a pretty smooth bark, like so. And so my guess is that this is a beech tree, even though it's young. I don't remember what beech leaves look like exactly, but here's another over here, and this certainly looks like a beech to me. It's a little bit older tree, but look how smooth the bark is. That looks like beech bark to me. And I believe beech leaves look this way. Yeah, that's what I think that one is. I'm going to try to stay on the trail, not venture off too far. I don't want to be getting lost out here. Let's see if there's anything else I can easily identify. This looks like another beech here, I'm guessing. Similar. Actually, no, this looks... I wonder if that one's a maple. Sometimes you get some smooth bark maples around the area. It's hard, like I said, much harder to tell without the leaves. And I'm not like some biologist or anything like that. So now we're getting into some conifers. That one looks like it could be a black cherry. A black cherry bark looks like, it looks similar to this. Looks like, let's see if you can see that there. Oh, it's hard to angle this. Apparently. Black cherry looks like this, kind of like these dark colored, it's like a dark wood or dark bark, and it looks like I don't know, like cornflakes or something like that, bran flakes that are kind of like burnt and dark. I'm breaking this off a little bit. It's red inside. I do believe that's a black cherry. Don't quote me on any of this stuff, fellas, ladies, whoever you are. Because, like I said, I am not a professional at this. I am very much still learning. And I just enjoy it. Realistically, if I needed to make a fire, I would just grab any one of these bad boys that I could find. It could easily cut down or they look dead and dry. Anything except for maybe some pine or softwoods like that, because I find that they really don't burn all that well. Like pine, it starts up. Like I feel like pine is great to start a fire. It's not so great to keep it going. Like I've started plenty of fires. I remember one time in particular, a friend of mine and I were trying to get a little fire going in the backyard, just to like roast marshmallows or whatever in the little fire pit. And they had some, what seemed to be some very nice looking dry pine. And and so we get the fire going, it starts, and within a few minutes, it kept dying. Like before we could even, like it never got to be a really good, big fire. This one looks like another cherry. And what we realized is just that pine just kind of sucks. It's the conclusion that I came to. So then once we started the fire again with the pine and we started throwing maple on, lo and behold, we had a nice big strong fire. So that is a technique that I'll use on occasion. You know, maybe grab some pine because it's usually has like a lot of pitch and a lot of resin in it, and it burns, it lights up pretty good, but it doesn't maintain that fire well. Someone did explain like the physics to me about it before me, but I don't remember exactly why that happened. I think maybe it just burns faster, perhaps, is it? And so it dies quicker. Don't remember. But I think I like learning about the different trees and how to identify them for a few different reasons. One is that different plants definitely have different medicinal uses. Well, that's pretty. Can you see that? I don't know how we can see it. There's like a little frozen little water down there. Little ledge, whatever you want to call it. I'll get better at this, guys, I promise. I don't know how far I should walk. Like I said, I don't have a ton of time, but that does look pretty down there. I do want to check it out. We'll see how far I can make it. And we got a little bit of an incline. So I'm not going to go too far. But let's just check it out a little bit. Like I was saying, the different plants definitely have different medicinal purposes. Some of them are edible, some are poison, some are good for different tools and applications. And the first step is being able to identify them before you can use them. It does no good to know that a specific plant can cure cancer if you can't identify that cancer curing plant, whatever it may be. That just doesn't help you. So my first step has been to learn to identify trees because there's just so many of them. And after my incident of learning that pine burns terribly, I want to be able to know what I'm getting and if it's going to work well for me. Oh, you know what? Here. That looks like a nice little ghost. See how the lobes are rounded there? Nice and smooth. So that's going to be some form of white oak. And here, we've got some red. Nice and pointy. Stab you. Get that blood all over you. Red. So that's the way that I learned it. Now there's a lot of variance there. The second reason why I like to learn about the different types of trees is before I started learning trees, all the trees just kind of blurred together. You know, I never, it was almost like I never saw them. It was just like, oh, there's a tree. Tree has a trunk, it's got some leaves. Maybe it's a Christmas tree or maybe it's just not a Christmas tree. There was Christmas tree and not Christmas tree. That was really the only difference to me. And they all kind of look the same and I never really noticed them. It was truly like, you know, missing the trees for the forest or something like that. And then once I started to learn about how to identify the trees, well, then I noticed that there's a lot of different ways that bark can look. There's a lot of different leaf shapes. There's different colors. I always think of bark as just being brown, but there's white bark, there's yellowish bark, there's reddish bark, black bark, brown bark, a bunch of different textures. The leaves themselves, there's so many different types of leaves, whether they have lobes or not, whether, you know, the shape of those lobes, whether they're pointed or smooth, serrated, the acorns or the way that the trees reproduce is different. And so even the shape of like the bough or whatever, there's the shape of the tree. Sometimes you can identify them just by that alone, especially when they have leaves on them, or whether the trunk is split or not. They smell differently, especially when you like scrape them, cut them open, or scrape a little bit of bark off or something like that. They have different smells. And so it was almost like I had just discovered trees. Like everybody else knew that trees were a thing. And I don't know why I can't stay focused in the center here. It was almost like I never saw trees before I started learning about them. And now I can't unsee it. Now I can't unsee the different bark shapes, the different bark textures, the different leaf shapes. And I think that's really cool. It gives me a greater appreciation for nature as a whole, but also specifically for trees. These things that I, for most of my life, just took for granted and kind of, I won't say ignored. I always thought trees were pretty, but I just really didn't pay a ton of attention to them and notice these differences. And as someone who likes to be outside, as someone who's also an artist, noticing those little details has made a big difference and has improved my experience of the outdoors. So it's not even so much survival. I guess you could call it maybe spirituality. It might fall into that, and that is an aspect of fitness and an important one at that. But it's really about, at least for me, just appreciating what is out there, regardless of what you believe, whether it's chance and coincidence or some sort of creator. Just appreciating how these things evolved and changed and adapted to the environments that's, you know, pretty harsh. Even under best of circumstances, whether you believe climate change is real or not, but meteors have hit this planet. There's been earthquakes and mudslides and ice ages and all this, and these living things sometimes survive it. I shouldn't say sometimes, they have survived it. Some of these trees are so old, maybe not here. Perhaps not in this specific area. A lot of these trees are pretty small, that leads me to believe they're not super old. But there's trees, you know, I think in like California, those big redwoods. Oh my God, how old are those things? They have seen it all. They've survived so much. And they're able to do that with these pretty simple but amazing systems that they've developed over the years to survive this harsh climate that is Earth. So I find that fascinating. I'm probably gonna head back now. This is uphill. Gotta try to get my fat ass back up this ravine. Wait, that's the downside of this. What goes down must come up. But it's pretty. I liked it down here. If I have more time, I'll explore it a little bit more next time. You got some squirrels playing down there. Or fighting. Whatever it is squirrels do. I don't know much about squirrels. They're cute, but in the end, they're just rats to me. Just a little rat. I don't feel like I'm gonna get rabies or black plague from them. I'll stay away from squirrels. I feel like a squirrel could fuck you up if it wanted to. Squirrel jumps on your face. I'm not gonna be happy about that. Ook. Ook. Let me see if I can turn this so you can see a little bit more of what I'm seeing. There you go. How's that? It's not a super steep incline, but steep enough with a 35-pound bag. I don't know what that is over there. It looks like some houses. Maybe a trailer park. I don't know. So yeah, we're not that deep in the woods, guys. So this is the very reason why fitness has become a key component of my preparations. Pretty winded from that not so far walk. But imagine a zombie was after me while I was doing that. I'd be in trouble. Or if it was longer. Back on flatland now. So my goal here with this channel and with life at this time is to not necessarily become super thin or get big sexy rippling muscles. More of a functional fitness is the goal. Sorry about that. The angle just felt rough. Felt wrong, felt off. I'm gonna cut through, hijack the path this way. A little shortcut. The goal here is if I do need to evacuate, I need to be able to do it pretty quickly. I need to be able to carry my bag. I need to be able to maybe help other people. And I may need to be able to do it for a few days in a row. I may need to, I've got 7-gallon jugs of water. I'm gonna need to be able to carry that water. Not through the woods. I'm not trying to do that, but I need to carry it maybe to my car. Maybe need to carry it to a different part of the house. Maybe outside. I might need to carry it down the street. I mean, who knows? Maybe something has happened and water's cut off, but they have like water stations every so often, and maybe we're out of gas and I will need to walk with my 5 to 7 gallon jug of water and pick up my rations for the day. Who knows how far I'll have to walk with that. I may need to be able to climb a wall, pull myself up, pull up my friends. I might say, fuck my friends, get up the wall yourself. Get up the wall yourself. So that's my goal. That's my fitness journey here. And at one point, I've never been thin, but at one point, I was pretty fit. Never thin, but I did martial arts off and on my entire life since I was little. Different kinds. Taekwondo, karate, tiny bit of capoeira, some hapkido, Krav Maga, boxing, doing all that stuff. I used to ride my bike to work because I was a broke-ass college student, and sometimes affording gas was too much, and so I just decided to ride my bike. I also wanted to save wear and tear on my vehicle because repairing it was not something I could really afford to do either. Once it broke, it was just broke. And I needed brakes at one point, and it took me a couple months to save up. So I rode my bike everywhere. I walked a lot, you know, just around campus and whatnot. In high school, I played a lot of sports. So even though I wasn't thin, believe it or not, at one point, I could even do a few pull-ups. I think I got up to like maybe 3, which maybe isn't brag-worthy, but if I could do 3 pull-ups, that means I could pull myself up over a wall if I needed to. And so my goal here is to get back to that point. Be able to run from a zombie, or whoever, to climb over a wall, to carry my water jugs, to carry this backpack, and be able to do that efficiently. And also be able to physically defend myself if I were attacked. So it's a very functional fitness that I'm going for. And I think it's really important to survival. If you're going to be a prepper or a survivalist or ready for whatever's happening, I would say your number one prep is your brain. It's knowledge, it's skills, it's having a mindset to survive, being able to focus and stay calm, even in chaos. I'd say that's number one. And number 2, your body has to follow. I mean, you can have the knowledge, but a lot of skills are a matter of muscle memory. The mind is willing, but the flesh is weak, as they say. And just general health. You're not going to survive very well if you have medical conditions, especially ones that can be cured by proper health, proper nutrition, proper exercise, maintaining a healthy weight. A lot of conditions can be either minimized or improved by that. My grandma had really high blood pressure for a long time. She changed her diet. I never saw that woman exercise a single minute of her life, but she changed her diet. Her blood pressure went down. She didn't have to take medications anymore. I was pretty amazed. It was minor changes. She cut back on salt. She ate oat cereal for breakfast every day. Cut back on some meats and things like that. Not even a ton. Pretty minor changes. But within a year or 2, she didn't have to take that blood pressure medication anymore. And that in and of itself, shit hits the fan and you can't get your meds, you're in a world of hurt. I also think of diabetes. Now, some of it is not preventable. I think it was type 1 diabetes. Genetic. Diet's really not gonna make a difference. Either you have it or you don't. But type 2, healthy diet, exercise, trim that waistline, that can make all the difference in the world. And again, shit hits the fan and you can't get those meds, you're not surviving. So it's better to kick that stuff now. Get healthy now. So it's a functional fitness, but also improved health, which will make me feel better in our current luxurious, lazy civilization, but could very well save my life when all that shit goes away, or it's harder to get to. The walk back is not as easy as the walk down, that's for sure. It's been a slight uphill the whole way here. And I'm just about at the end, pretty close to where I started recording. So I think that may be where we ended. Thanks for taking a walk with me. It's been fun. I'm gonna take those off because that's like really dark right now. Look at my beautiful eyes. Yeah, thanks for coming. Tell me what you guys want me to talk about. Because I don't really know. It's a new channel. I got lots to say. I don't know that you want to hear it all. If you got questions about me, questions about Amanda, questions about whatever it is we're doing, ask them in the comments. Like, subscribe, follow, check out our Instagram. All that shit that people say at the end of YouTube videos. You know how it works. Oh, I missed the button.